Next, the approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Fast, seconded by Mrs. Riddell to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mrs. Pothorsky?
Yes.
Mr. Fast?
Yes.
Albert votes yes, passes 4-0. Next, the approval of claims.
I make a motion we approve the claims.
I'll second the motion. Motion made by Mrs. Riddell, seconded by Albert to approve the claims. Any discussion? Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mrs. Pothorsky?
Yes.
Mr. Fast?
Yes.
Albert votes yes, passes 4-0. Next, utilities.
You do, please.
The Water Department and wastewater, the GIS, nothing new has happened. I think Thomas spoke to McMahon regarding that. Midco diving, we did receive the report. We gave it to McMahon for them to look at the water tower. Might as well budget in repainting. It'll need to be done. It just really depends on when. I think you probably got a few years before it's have to, but we'll let McMahon decide when the best time would be. Wastewater treatment plant, the North Claris fire is now in service. The replacement planetary gear drive was installed. Gas won't installed it. We took the old one, is in the machine shop over in Chicago. They're going to rebuild it. And I asked them to provide a report on what they think caused the premature failure on it. The alignment on this one looks a lot better than it did on the other one that failed. I can just say that. The pump for the Nash Finish lift stations, we have not ordered it yet. We're still trying to determine a pump that best fits that application. With the force main being so long, it requires a pump that can pump against a lot of pressure, and there's not many to choose from. So John Sturgill and from McMahon and Andy Beeson are looking into seeing what's the best one we can do. The other issue is the flow meters failed there. The flow meter that was there was not a good flow meter, and the installation was poor at best. I'm going to have McMahon give us a recommendation as far as, and maybe even a small design to, really going to need to put a small manhole there so we can put a mag type flow meter in there at that lift station. I think it's pretty important now that it's up in use, and there's a lot more use at that lift station now. So I think are you estimating that now? Yeah, we should probably get on that. The generator at the wastewater plant's been repaired. There's a typo. It was actually put back in service on February 7th. I did talk to Joe Roller at McAllister. They were sending bill after bill after bill for the rental unit. He said that they were, since CAT did not support that, they were going to handle it in-house. He told me as far as the warranty work, he said that they would also pick up the rental on that. So keep reminding me on those. So because there's quite a few invoices out there. They did have to just rewind the alternator in on that. They did not provide a brand new unit. So we'll see how well that works. We did have all the lift station wet wells cleaned by AccuDig. There was a lot of accumulation in them. We are going to start doing that once a year so we can get some of the debris out of there. Basically, the debris is through the plastic floatables, hygiene products, baby wipes, and then there's a lot of sand and that other debris that's on the bottom, and it just ruins the pumps. Did receive a significant rain event on January 11th. I think it was the highest flow we've seen at the treatment plant. It handled it actually with only one clarifier operational. The flow was 541,000 gallons, which indicates that the collection system is actually pretty tight and we don't have a lot of I&I coming into the treatment plant. I know that was a concern years ago that we did, and I think some of the upgrades that were done for the surface water around the treatment plant and the drainage project, or the drainage work that was done around the treatment plant substantially reduced that. So other than that, that's all I've got.
Okay, thanks a lot. Anything else? Just on the report? I'm going to flip-flop the amend the agenda here. We're going to go now to police for the bullet wrap.
Okay.
So it's,
As you all know, law enforcement, just like anything else, changes. And it's important that we change along with our community. Something that Regina actually brought to me last month, and we've been discussing, all of us have been discussing it over the last month or so, is the use of force and the tools that we use to apprehend somebody. And obviously, we want to purchase the right tool. We want to be able to fit our use of force policy to our community, and at the same time, we want to make sure that our police officers are safe. And it's not often that a product comes through and it kind of meets all those needs. And I brought some gentlemen from BolaWrap, and I'd like to introduce Josh Richardson and have him go over what the BolaWrap offers and how it will, benefit our officers and our community. Josh, go ahead.
Good evening, folks. My name is Josh Richardson. I work for a company called Advances Law Enforcement. We're a law enforcement distributor for this area as well as Ohio. We just recently started carrying this product. It's been a little less than 12 months, and so far it's making some pretty big waves in the industry. Jared here from BolaWrap, he's going to be able to go over some of the finer points and details with how this system works and operates.
Sure, yeah. My name is JD Heidevall. I appreciate you guys having us out, Chief, Council. We really appreciate the opportunity to come here and show this to your citizens and to you. I know some people are talking about wanting certain people to get wrapped tonight. We didn't bring a live demo, so that's not on the agenda tonight. We can maybe work that out. Don't worry, we'll get that figured out. A little bit about myself. I'm a full-time police officer in Indianapolis for Indianapolis Metro Police Department. I'm also a master instructor for WRAP Technologies, and they're the one who developed this tool. It's called the BolaWrap. Honestly, it reminds me a little bit of a Batman tool. I'll show you guys very quickly kind of what it looks like. This is a completely inert device. It doesn't turn on. You can't drop the cartridge. But it's very small. It's very slim. It's very simple to use. Basically what it is you take one of these cartridges, which are loaded with 8 foot of Kevlar cord with 2 what look like fish hooks on the end. Josh has them here. And you insert it into the BolaWrap, you get a positive click. When you turn on the device here with a live one, a green line laser will come on. Wherever that laser is pointed, that is where this BolaWrap will deploy. Our targeting zones, as we call them, are knees to ankles, elbows down to wrists. The reason for that is very simple. This is not some end-all be-all tool, but it's another tool on the tool belt of police officers like myself and like these officers in here that we can use to take people into custody safely and get them the help they need. The BolaWrap was developed by a man named Woody Norris. Some of you may have heard of some of his work. He developed the LRAD, the long-range acoustical device that they use on cruise ships, on large cargo ships to deter pirates, right? So a couple of people from New Jersey, a couple of officers from New Jersey went to Woody and said, hey, can you make a handheld LRAD? To kind of, if an individual is in crisis or needs our help, it will kind of shut down their system so we can get up to them, put hands on them, and get them the help that they need without them fighting us or us having to fight them. Woody tried. Unfortunately, there's just no way to do it. If I had a handheld LRAD right here, everybody in this room would be on the floor because it's loud. So this is what Woody came up with. And what we're seeing is that it's not only being used for individuals who are in a mental health crisis, individuals who need to be taken to a hospital, not necessarily arrested, but taken to a hospital and be seen by a doctor because they're off their medicine or they're experiencing a mental health break. It's also used by other agencies that we've deployed it through in SWAT situations with barricaded individuals, with individuals who are not compliant but only verbal, to where an officer would have to go up and put hands on them, which might then turn into a fight. This remote restraint device is best from 10 to 25 feet, and what it does is, and we'll show you a video here in a second, it shoots out or deploys those 2 Kevlar cords. As they come out, they spread out to 8 feet. It wraps around them, and then the fish hooks that are on there don't embed in the skin. There's a possibility they could, but what we're seeing is that they don't. They get hooked in the clothing of a person. It tightens down on them to where it takes either their legs or their arms out of a potential fight with a police officer, which reduces the number of injuries to both the officer and it reduces the number of injuries to the individual who just needs our help at that point in time. So we'll show you a couple of videos, and then if anybody has any questions or anything I can do to kind of help you guys understand it a little bit better, I'm more than willing to answer anything you guys have.
Taser, and now there's a new tool that will help police subdue suspects without having to seriously hurt or kill them.
The Bowler Wrap was made with the mentally ill in mind. 1 in 4 fatal police encounters involve someone with mental health issues.
Get on the ground! Talk to me, brother. Look at me. Jimmy! Get on the ground! Just get down! Let us help you!
It turns out that a lot of the data on the use of force shows that police are encountering people that are handicapped or deaf or have other kinds of problems or on drugs. You don't want to kill that person, but they are not able to either understand or comply with your directions.
I can't come any closer when you have that knife on you. Don't hurt yourself. If you want, I will talk to you.
There's a team here that's gonna help you. You need to put that right on the ground though.
You need to stop.
Stop blocking.
I thought there's got to be a way to just stop a person from walking or running away or advancing towards you if they have a knife or whatever. And that's what I did with the bullet.
Drop the knife.
Do it now. Drop the knife.
Don't move. Don't move. Drop the knife. Drop the knife. I don't want to take you, sir. You need to stop now.
Officers have many pain compliance tools, but they don't have anything to be used early to control the subject's movement before those pain compliance tools are necessary to be used. The Bowler Wrap will do that. The Bowler Wrap will be able to control somebody's legs and somebody's arms in a safe manner without causing that individual any pain to gain their compliance.
It's going to secure them right where they're at, and then you can move in and safely take them into custody and get them help. So, I mean, I don't see any downsides to it.
It gives us the opportunity to rush or charge them once we get them restrained with the Bowler Wrap, and then we can do what we need to do as police officers.
A suspect in a downtown Fresno stabbing put 2 people in the hospital before police were able to detain him. He was stopped using a Bowler Wrap.
They used it just last week on a real armed suspect.
His immediate response was to grab it, and by that time our takedown officers were on top of him, placed him on the ground safely, and took him into custody.
Even if we have one case we prevented lethal force from having to be used, it's worth the investment.
So that's just a quick little breakdown of kind of how the Bowler Wrap works. A lot of questions that I get when I come out and do these are, well, what if it wraps around somebody's neck? And I'm sure that's all probably in the back of your mind. The thing about the Bowler Wrap is this. The Kevlar cord is deployed at 513 feet per second. It's powered by a 380 partial charge. So nothing is actually being fired at them as far as a projectile, as far as any kind of firearm use. The issue with it being wrapped around somebody's neck, we've tested it on multiple dummies, multiple other people. It doesn't have the force necessary to wrap around somebody's neck and actually choke them. What we would be more worried about is if, a barb ended up flying around somebody's face, which is why our aiming zones are from elbows to wrists, knees down to ankles. And the other thing we get is, people sometimes say, well, what if somebody ducks? We'll show you the slow motion video. When this actually happens in real life, there's no chance somebody can duck down that quick and get it anywhere near their face. It comes out very fast, does the job that it's intended to do. They don't even have a chance to even react to it most of the time. So we'll play the slow motion video, and if anybody has any questions, again, I'm here to help. I'm here to answer anything I can. deployed on me about 40 times now. And as a police officer, as you can attest, or chief, you can attest, a lot of things on our belt, taser, pepper spray, it's a pain compliance tool. I hated getting pepper sprayed because with my very pale complexion, I wasn't right for 24 hours. There is no pain compliance. It doesn't hurt. It stuns them in that, oh my gosh, what just happened? But when that Kevlar wrap hits you, half the time you don't even feel it unless you know it's coming for you. In those 40 times, I've never had a hook get embedded in me at all. And in fact, we don't have any documented uses of a hook actually getting put into somebody's skin. So it's very safe, it's very reliable, and it does a really good job at wrapping an individual up so that an officer can get up to them, get them into handcuffs if needed, and get them the help that they need. So, does anybody have any questions? Anything I can help with?
I'm just curious, can you reuse it?
Yes.
The material once it's been deployed?
Yes. Yes. So do you mean the actual Kevlar strap? Okay, so the way it currently works is, as of right now, all of our cartridges are hand-loaded in Phoenix, Arizona. The entire bowler wrap and cartridges are all built in America, in Phoenix, Arizona. So as of right now, they are single-use cartridges, meaning you couldn't reload those in there and use them again. And that's for a number of reasons. It goes through a very strict process of making sure that the correct amount of cable is loaded into the cartridge, that the right hooks are used, so there is no chance that an individual could get hurt. So while the cartridges are single use, obviously the BOLA can be used numerous times depending on how many cartridges you use. So a lot of guys are carrying one cartridge in the BOLA that are deploying them. LAPD is rolling 1,200 of these out over the next week. They went through almost a year-long testing process before they pushed them out to the street. Fresno, California has them. Fort Worth PD has them. The closest department here that has them is Westchester Police Department in Cincinnati, Ohio. And there are about 100 agencies in the United States currently using these. So,
JD, the departments that are buying the bowler wrap, especially here in Northwest Indiana, the problems that I get, not that the taser is a bad tool, it's a good tool, but especially in this area, 6 months out of the year, you have heavy clothing on, you don't get a good contact with the probes. People are training to break the wires once they get hit, and once that cartridge is spent, then you got the drives done, and a lot of people, it just doesn't affect them. So the departments that are buying the bowler wrap, are they eliminating tasers, or are they adding equipment to what they have?
they're adding equipment to what they have. We tell people from my personal experience, the taser has its place. This isn't meant to, it's not intended to take the place of a pepper spray, taser, or baton, because obviously those tools have their place in our use of force spectrum. But a lot of places, like you're saying, that are cold weather departments, there's one up in Minnesota near Duluth. They said the same thing. Our people were wrapped up 6 to 8 months out of the year because it's always so cold up here. As you know, and I'm sure you know, probably everybody here knows, a taser doesn't work through a thick Carhartt jacket. Like, it just doesn't have the force necessary to penetrate that Carhartt jacket. Whereas this is not a pain compliance tool, but it's an easy way to get that person wrapped up so that officers can make an approach on them, get them into the handcuffs that they need, and not have to worry about the pain compliance. Sir?
One thing I was noticing in all the demonstrations, the individual always was stopped and they were standing their arms. I mean, how realistic is it to come upon somebody and they're going to be stopped with their feet and their hands together? I mean, what about when they're running or their arms are further? How does this wrap? I mean, how much force is going to have to actually wrap them? Sure. If I'm booking and you shoot me down, what's it going to stop me from keep running? I'm just wondering.
No, I agree. We've used these. I agree. We've used these. I've had it deployed on me while I'm walking away. Does its job, wraps me up, trips them up. The good thing about it is if you use it on an individual as they're walking away on their legs, which is what we recommend, they still have their hands available to catch them. This tool isn't made for anybody who's necessarily running away from you. We're not going to say you can't use it there. That will all depend on your policy as a police department and as a city for what you develop it for. And it's definitely that you can use it, but you got to think the maximum range you can use this at is 25 feet. So somebody can gain 25 feet pretty quick. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. While it's not realistic that somebody would be standing there like this, I know I've been on multiple runs where an individual is not being compliant, but they're not listening. Their hands are in their pockets. They are not doing anything to me, but I need to give them into custody to get them the help they need or take them to jail. That would be perfect here. We say that this isn't the end-all be-all. It's another really good tool to have on your belt because you can use it in a lot of situations where it would just resort to either you spraying, tasing somebody, hitting somebody with a baton, are having to go up on them and go hands-on and potentially hurt you or them.
What kind of cost for a unit like that?
That's Josh's kind of area of expertise. I'll let him kind of take that over.
We have a quote with you right now.
Yeah, they're just a little less expensive than the Taser. Was it $900 a unit?
Roughly, around that much, yeah.
Are there grants available? Are there any grants available?
I've actually, I've applied for a grant to purchase these for the department, and the reason I wanted to bring the experts in and talk to you, obviously grants are a fantastic thing, and we've applied for one. We'll get the answer in July. If that doesn't come through, we can always try another grant, but I think it's a very valuable tool, and I wanted to build the confidence of the town and the confidence of the town board, that if it did come time where during budget talks we needed to try to work it into the budget, whether we buy one at a time or two at a time or whatever, I would like to outfit the department with them eventually, and I thought it was very important for the experts to come in and build confidence with you folks, so you know that what I'm talking about when I do discuss it with you. So they are, I think the entire quote for 2 cartridges per unit, holsters, and the 5 devices was right about $5,200.
It's close to that.
I think it's $5,200, so not bad. They're a little less expensive than a Taser, about the same, give or take.
And the other thing BolaWrap does offer is that it doesn't cost anything for me to come out. It's not going to cost your department or your city a dime for me to come out and either do a demo for everybody here and as many of the citizens that want to come watch for the police department. And it doesn't cost you guys a dime for me when I come out to do the trainers. So our goal is to come out, train the officers that'll be using them to be the trainers, so that if new guys are hired, you don't have to have us come back out. Your guys can train them. We'll give you the full developmental packet, and you guys are off and running from there. Obviously, we're here to help you with whatever you guys need and whatever you would need going forward. But our goal is to get these in the hands of police officers who would use them every day and train them how to use them and train people on them, so that you can continue to pass them on down through as you hire individuals.
Any questions? When you deploy one, do you just throw it away or they get sent back? What?
The cartridge?
Yeah.
When we deploy them on the street, we say for the officers to keep that cartridge to use as a training cartridge, to learn how to dry fire, to learn how to load and deploy the BolaWrap. It's made, I mean, it's pretty sturdy if you want to feel it. It's made out of metal, so it's not something that you necessarily would want to throw away if you can keep it and learn from it. That's what we recommend, and it'll be easier for your officers to learn how to manipulate the BolaWrap, learn how to load it and charge it.
What about the wrap itself?
You can cut that right off and throw that away, and you can put it in a sharps container, or what I do is I wrap it up in tape, and then you can dump it.
It's Kevlar, that's what bulletproof vests, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yep. Very strong cord, and we also say that, like I've said before, it's not any different in that you have to have a plan as an officer. After you wrap somebody, at some point in time, that person will eventually be able to wiggle out of that wrap. I mean, it just happens. I mean, it's, they can manipulate it and move it around, but as an officer, when you deploy it, it's no different than deploying spray or a taser on somebody. You have to have a plan to get up to them, get your hands on them, and put them into custody, and this is an easier and safer way to do it, because you take part of the equation, part of their body out of the equation if they were going to run or fight or try to cause harm to you or somebody else.
The one thing that JD touched on was this gives us the ability to restrain somebody and get them the help they need. There's a lot of, and I don't mean to bash on the taser, and that's not what I intend, it's a fantastic tool, but in a stressful situation, there's a lot of things that can happen with a taser. When that officer, if he experiences that tunnel vision, if they pull that trigger and they get that 5-second burst of electricity, and then they're not able to restrain them, and then they pull it again, and they get another 5 seconds, and they pull it again, and they get another 5 seconds. You get those multiple charges of electricity going into somebody, and that's where you end up with excessive use of force situations and things like that, that if we had this tool, we can avoid that altogether, because this is a one-time shot. You're not going to have somebody holding that trigger down, giving a constant jolt with a taser or pulling the trigger over and over again. I think it's a I think it's well thought out, it's a fantastic tool, and hopefully the grant that we applied for comes through. We'll know in July, but my biggest objective here was to get, support from the town board and have the confidence of you in the tools that we're buying.
Is there any other departments here? Any other police departments? I just wondering. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
We appreciate it. We appreciate your time. Thanks for having us out.
Have a good trip back.
Thank you.
No, you're fine.
Hey, now I'm going to go back up. I'm going to go back up to utilities.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Okay, we have an application. Last month we talked about the sewer project, addition project for a new customer. And we have an application form for the wastewater state revolving loan program. And all this does, it's not an obligation. It gets us on the list for the state revolving loan program. It's sent down with a map of the area and some drawings, preliminary drawings. So I would like to make a motion that we sign the application form for the state revolving loan fund for the wastewater.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made by Albert, seconded by Mr. Pfaff to sign the application. Any discussion? Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mrs. Prokhorsky?
Yes.
Mr. Pfaff? Yes. Albert votes yes, passes 4-0. Anything else on utilities? Streets, no snow, nothing to report. You might have a little more in a couple of days. Parks, all quiet. Back to the police. Briefly.
As far as my stats, I'm going to refrain from giving the stats. Our program that we use has been having some issues, so they're a little crazy. The one thing I wanted to bring up is Blue Line Park. As you guys all know, after we moved into the building, I brought up the idea of developing the park behind us, and we started our fundraising program. To date, we have raised $57,000 through grant money, and we've raised another approximately $40,000 in donations, local donations, and in-kind contributions. We have funding for all of the park equipment. We have funding for the mulch that goes down. We are hopefully going to do a grand opening in June. That's the plan, if Bubba doesn't kill me first. And the only thing that I am not able to get funding for, that nobody's going to give me grant money for it or anything, is landscaping, a sign, and a memorial plaque to honor everybody who donated. So I wanted to ask if we could fund that part of the park project out of our park fund.
We have plenty in there.
Yeah, we should be able to do that. Okay. And we still may be getting a few donations, and so those donations, it's not over yet.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, but yeah.
I don't have an objection to that. We've got it in there. And like you said, very well good donations.
There's still maybe
Been
more
very,
coming.
Okay.
supportive.
And the last thing that I have is the brainstorm contract. As you guys all know, we discussed last year, LaPorte County got hit with ransomware. It cost them several $1,000s, and they were without a server for at least 2 weeks as they tried to figure out what to do after their server was infected. Brainstorm has offered us a maintenance contract for off-site storage and monthly server maintenance. It's a very reasonable price. I think it's $173, is that what it is? And I would like to enter into that contract with them and see how that affects my budget for the year. It may very well free up some other maintenance that I would have done that I would have had to pay them their hourly rate. So I'm kind of hoping that at the end of the year, it's sort of a wash, and we have a better system, a better maintained system, as opposed to calling them when we have a problem. Yeah, I had emailed that contract to everybody, if you had a chance to review it. If there's any issues or whatever, I can always have Market brainstorm correct them, but I'd like to enter into that contract with them.
It's a monthly and it can be, is it, without looking at it real quick. Okay, it's a 1 year. 1 year. You have a motion?
Yeah, I would make a motion that we enter the contract with Brainstorm.
I'll second the motion. Motion made by Mrs. Riddell, second by Albert, to enter into the contract with Brainstorm Backup Services for computer backup off-site. Yeah, it costs the county quite a bit of money, them and their insurance company.
I think it's at several schools in the area too, that got hit by the ransomware last year.
Okay, does the town have an addendum to its insurance?
I don't know, it's probably something we should do.
The insurance company picked up a lot for the county, as well as they had a lot, there's a firm on the eastern seaboard that's all they do is negotiate with these people.
Oh, to get from the
right, because they paid them in Bitcoin, actually.
Yeah.
Right.
But you should check your insurance policy to make sure you had it done. Because when I was county attorney, believe it or not, we bought that 2 years before the attack. We didn't have anything before that. So it was instrumental, and it's not that expensive.
Okay.
It could also help our rates again, if we have something enforced too, maybe. Okay, thanks.
Did you do a roll call? You were in the middle.
Oh, any other discussion or questions? Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mrs. Before
Yes.
Mr. Kraft? Yes. Albert votes yes, passes 4-0. Anything else on police?
No, I'm gonna stop talking now.
Okay. I'm going to drop down to the Birch Fest and the Pumpkin Fest and the Lions Club, so we can get them going.
The important ones, right?
What's that?
Well, the important ones.
Well, you guys fight that one out. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I don't mind. I'll go for stuff. First off, I'd like to introduce our newest member, Aaron Russ, of the Birchville Memorial Foundation. He was on board. He had an empty spot. He took over, so I'd like to introduce him to you guys. Most of you probably know him already. Pretty active in the community. Then I guess we want to come here and formally request the fields for Memorial Day weekend once again. I know it's formalities, our 11th year. Looking good, going strong. And on top of that, we're looking into projects we can do for the park, because we've done through the years. We've given the basketball courts, we've given the equipment for the children, this, that, and the other. And as we've been sitting here thinking as a group, we've never really given back to the people who helped us make it work. The softball players, the teams, this, that, and the other. So what we would like to do, upon researching it, the fields, I guess, are horrible in Westville. They don't drain well, they're real hard, this, that, and the other. We would like to take over the project of refurbishing the fields, new conditioning soil. We've got a few different options of things we can do to make the fields a better situation. But before we go any further in getting prices, we want to make sure that that's something you guys would be compliant with us doing going forward. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves and put a bunch of efforts into something that, you'd be like, oh, we want you guys to do that. So something we're just kind of looking to make sure that we can go for this project. Aaron has put quite a bit of effort in already and got some quotes and some different ideas. And, we're not asking for any funds. This is something that's our show we do for you guys, whatever, for the park. So that's where we're at. So that'd be up to you guys. We're hoping we get pass on the okay and whatnot.
Have you talked to Bob about this?
We haven't really gotten with him because we figured first step with you guys. And I can't see him not wanting us to.
That was the next thing I was going to say. I was going to check with her Parks liaison and check with Bubba because.
Yeah, we figured as much, but we didn't want to. We just don't want to do too much work because everybody just gets shot down. We figured you guys were first step, so if you then make the next step. Like I said, I can't see Bubba being opposing us doing anything. You guys know everything we've done has been professional to top. We're not scabbing anything else. So.
I would just, I don't think there's an objection. Just keep in touch with Olga and Bubba.
Perfect, yeah.
If there's any things that come up, we can straighten them out as they go.
Sounds like winter to us, so we're gonna try to do this early in the spring as we can, get ready for the softball season, is what our hopes are, so. But yeah, other than that, I think we're good, right, with everything. Hope you guys are happy with everything we've been doing so far.
Yes, of course.
Hope you continue supporting us on our journey, so. And come on out. Come on, event.
Thank you. Okay, I'll make a motion that we let the Birchfield group use the Prairie Meadow Park for Memorial Day weekend.
I'll second.
Free, as usual. Motion made by Albert, seconded by Mrs. Pethorsky. Any discussion? Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mrs. Pethorsky?
Yes.
Mr. Pfaff?
Yes.
Albert votes yes, passes 4-0. Okay, Pumpkin Fest, we'll just pick who's next.
Okay, well, and before we get to Pumpkin Fest, we would also like to use the park on Thursday, May 7th for our flower sale. And then we request to use the park October 3rd and 4th for Pumpkin Fest. Pumpkin Fest is just going to be 2 days this year. We're going to not do Friday. There will still be activity and things setting up, but Friday has always been optional for us, and it's just getting more and more difficult every year to man everything, so we're going down to two days this year. We'll see how that works.
You're going to use want to use the pavilion for the
Flower sale,
flowers?
yes.
Okay. Okay, I'll make a motion that we allow the Pumpkin Fest, is Tri-Kappa doing the flowers?
Tri-Kappa does both.
Okay, to allow Tri-Kappa to have the Pumpkin Fest on October 3rd and 4th at Prairie Meadow, and the flower sale on May 7th at Prairie Meadow at the Pavilion.
I second that.
And, okay.
Oh, you're still
I was
going?
and we will waive fees like we have in the past.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Now a second there?
I second.
Okay, motion made by Albert, seconded by Mrs. Pethorsky. Is there any discussion? Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mrs. Pethorsky?
Yes.
Mr. Pfaff?
Yes.
Albert votes yes, passes 5-0, or 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lions Club.
Great. I'm Whitney Martin, president of Westville Lions this year. We are wanting to do a service project in Westville. The service project that we're wanting to do is a car show, and we're wanting to do it on Main Street. Saturday, May 2nd, we would like to close down Main Street from 7:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. So that way we can do the car show with a rain date of May 3rd. All of the proceeds from our car show are going to go to local veteran programs. We have not earmarked what exactly, but it is all proceeds. So we are just wanting the permission to close on Main Street. Have talked with several businesses on Main Street. They're in favor of it. We project that it's going to bring a lot of people to the community. So, you know, commerce, the businesses are going to do well on Main Street. I still have to talk to Bubba to kind of work out some of that because he would be the one who'd be closing down. I know I have to put out signs the night before so that way people are aware that it's a tow zone if, you know, we're closing it down. But we just would like the town's permission to host a car show there. We're hoping to make it family friendly. We're going to have a section where it's touch a truck. I'm going to talk to the fire department, police station, UPS, some other local businesses if they want to have a truck out there. And we're just going to try to make a very family friendly event and service project to the community that'll go towards veterans.
Okay.
What part of Main Street do you need?
Oh, yes, that would help. Sorry. From Railroad Street to right before the parking lot for the library. Everyone else has like a back entrance, so if we close down Main Street, it wouldn't necessarily affect the business, with the exception of the library. So they can have their parking lot, so that way we won't interfere with them. But the other businesses are okay. I still have to talk to the resale shop. Every time I call, I don't get somebody there. So I have to double check with them, so.
Okay, I will make a motion that we allow the Lions Club to use Main Street on May 2nd from 7:30 to 2:30?
Yeah, 7:30 to 2:30, because our car show is going to go 8 to 10, or 8 to 2. So that'll give us plenty of time to close it off and start.
Okay, and then the rain date of May 3rd.
Yes.
And you will work with Marshall Mercer and Bubba Hale for the streets and everything. That's the motion.
I'll second it.
Second. Motion made by Albert, seconded by Mrs. Pethorsky. I'm not going to repeat all that again.
We have one more thing with Lions Club too.
Okay, let me get this
Oh, sorry.
vote here real quick. Be sure and let Simic know, because he has a group of car people, and they put it on Facebook and stuff. There's a lot of those groups that do. Any other discussion or questions? Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mrs. Pethorsky?
Yes.
Mr. Pfaff?
Yes.
Albert votes yes, passes 4-0.
Thank you.
You got another Lions Club?
Yes. Dave, do you want to go or do you want me to? Okay, so as president, we're trying to do more for our community. The support that you guys show to us is amazing. We had our chili supper this past weekend. I think we served over 200 people. The support that Westville does for us is just amazing, and we want to do more for the community. So we would like your guys' ideas, input of maybe another project that we could do. We talked about maybe doing some like environmental cleanup days, maybe tree planting. So anything that you guys can think that you need us, we would love to help. So I don't know if you have anything in mind yet, but we would love to do more within the community.
Everybody work on a list.
So,
Don't give it to Dave. Okay, thank you. Anything else on Lions?
anything you want to add?
Okay.
Could I step in right now?
Yes, you may.
I would like to introduce Joanne Inquist. She is the president of our local League of Women Voters of LaPorte County. And would you like to say something before we read this resolution?
Well, certainly, I want to thank the council for permitting me to come tonight. I'm absolutely delighted, and I also want to thank you for one of our best members, who is also on the board, Regina Riddell. We're delighted to have her. And just a little bit about the league. I know some people have a misconception. They think it's all for women, and we do have men in our league. In fact, well, please welcome. Please welcome. Don't Jesus, please welcome. We have a number of men in the league, and in fact, across the United States, there are layers to it. There's the national layer, the League of Women Voters, the state league, and then little chapters below that. I represent LaPorte County, and our league actually started just 1 year after the first one. So we'll be 100 years old next year, which is pretty amazing to me. Indiana was so far ahead of other states, really. But yes, we've been taking men in the League of Women Voters since the 70s. And we have many men. We have men on our board. We have men who are head of other organizations and so on, other chapters. And yes, we're going to keep our name because we were started by the suffragettes. And we probably wouldn't change our name, but we still the League of Women Voters. We are a political organization, but we are nonpartisan. And so when we do our candidate forums, and I certainly hope you've had the opportunity to see a candidate forum, participate in one that the league has put on, I think we do a really good job. We keep it very nonpartisan. Our rules are very clear and throughout. People like to participate. In fact, I'm already getting some requests. I saw the mayor of Michigan City today, and he reminded me that people are getting ready for the primary, and certainly we are too. But thank you again. I'm delighted to be here tonight, and I also want to point out that if you look at the date that we started, we actually started before the 19th Amendment, which I think is pretty amazing. The 19th Amendment will celebrate the 26th of August, and our centennial is February 14th. So we started in preparation of the 19th Amendment to educate ourselves and to educate others. That's what we do. Give the backsides. But thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. Yeah, last year or 2 years ago, we had a chance to go to a candidates forum. It was the prosecuting attorneys and things. It was very nice. Yeah, it was at PNW. Was it? There were several offices there. It was prosecuting attorney. Was it just county offices? I think it was. They had a couple. It was really, really good. We We have Resolution 2020-2, resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Westville, Indiana, honoring the League of Women Voters on the 100th anniversary of their founding. Whereas the women's suffrage movement was organized in 1848 at the Seneca Falls Convention in New York State, and over the next 72 years, many women dedicated their very lives to the cause. And whereas on June 4th, 1919, the assembled Congress of the United States of America passed the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, prohibiting states and the federal government from denying the right to vote to citizens of the United States on the basis of sex, and submitted it to the states for ratification. And whereas the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified by the last of the necessary 36 states on August 18th, 1920, and was officially adopted on August 26th in the year 1920. And whereas the League of Women Voters was organized on February 14th, 1920 to educate and engage those newly enfranchised women. And whereas in the past 100 years, through the actions of and with the support of the League of Women Voters, women have made significant contributions to government and the real-life issues affected by government. And whereas through the past 100 years, the League of Women Voters has promoted participation by informed citizens at all levels of government and has helped shape public policy. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town of Westville Indiana salutes the League of Women Voters on their 100th anniversary.
And I would make a motion that we accept Resolution 2020-2.
I second that.
Motion made by Mrs. Riddell, seconded by Mrs. Pothorsky to adopt Resolution 2022. Is there any discussion? I would like to say that the first woman elected to office in Westville was my grandma. So it's pretty cool. Any other discussion or comments? And
Yeah,
I
if it hadn't been for this, you wouldn't see these three lovely ladies sitting here guiding this town.
When I told my grandmother I was going to run for town council 32 years ago, she said, "Mike Albert, I thought you were smarter than that." So, any other discussion? Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mrs. Pothorsky?
Yes.
Mr. Pfaff?
Yes.
Albert Butch, yes. Passes 4-0.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're taking that up. Oh, line.
I think we got everybody. Let's go up to finance. Kind of bouncing around here tonight a little bit. We have the key asset finance, which is Boyce. We've talked about in the last couple of State Board of Council audit, they've been really pressing on assets for communication, for communities, and appreciation, and knowing what you own and what it's worth and everything. We've been fortunate from the wastewater side is because everything is pretty new, and we know what the value is. But with the process of the water plant, infrastructure, buildings, all sorts of things. So Lori has received this from Boyce. You want to go over
It's just another module that will help track and account for all of our capital assets, all of the town's capital assets. There's depreciation, like Mike said, there's depreciation involved, there's so much involved, and the State Board of Accounts is really cracking down on that, and our capital assets aren't. We have some of them tracked right now, but they could use some help. So this module integrates with our fund program, which will automatically update as we buy stuff, stuff gets
depreciated.
yes, stuff like that. So it'll integrate together. So on our next audit, the State Board of Accounts will be happy that we have it all up to date and everything's current.
And that's been what they've hit up.
They've been it's been every meeting I go to.
So the price is $3,600. Do you want to split this?
3 ways. Yeah.
3 ways between general, water, and sewer.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve this expenditure for the key asset program.
Second.
Motion made by Albert, seconded by Mrs. Riddell. Any questions or?
Well, I think it's a good idea. I think with all our water and wastewater and all our different departments, it's gonna be really important to keep track of in the future. And, yeah, it's like that with everything, whether it's capital assets, our infrastructure with GIS, it's state levels coming down and wanting more and stuff.
And I will say the cost of this is, the cost of the module is it's the cost of almost all of their modules to get that into our system. The legwork, however, is what I'm trying to save money on. Darren has already given me his spreadsheet on their capital assets. I have to get with Bubba yet, and utilities I'm hoping is John Sturgill, and maybe a little help with Nathan on that. So I'm just trying to cut the cost of Baker Tilly helping me by us doing most of the work as far as data entry goes.
Okay. We've got ordinance 2021. Yeah. Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mrs. Peforski?
Yes.
I'm lucky I even know whose kid I am tonight. Mr. Pfaff? Yes. Albert votes yes.
Okay.
We got this going on.
You're doing great.
I'll wing it. We have ordinance 2021. Last month, we approved it on the first reading. This is for the bonds for the proposed wastewater expansion project. So I will make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2021.
Second motion.
Motion made by Albert, seconded by Mr. Pfaff to adopt ordinance 2021. The bond ordinance, is there any discussion? Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mrs. Peforski?
Yes.
Mr. Pfaff?
Yes.
Albert votes yes. Passes 4-0. Okay, we got ordinance 2023, which is the resolution, or it's a resolution for the economic revitalization. Tom, you want to?
Yeah, I'd like to introduce Tony Rodriguez with the Fort County Economic Development. He's been working with the town, really over the last year, spent a lot of time with us, working with us on projects, trying to help us understand all the tools the county has available and what they have to offer. They spent recently, in the last month, they actually did a workshop with us on TIF districts and tax abatements to better understand how those tools are used for economic development. In front of us today is this preliminary resolution, and I'll let Tony kind of just explain it a little bit, and then I'll follow through a little bit more detail.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the town board, Attorney Beachy. It's my pleasure this evening to be presenting to you for your consideration what winds up being a preliminary economic revitalization area resolution, which would then be followed up by a confirmatory resolution that confirms the first step for declaring a particular piece of real estate located very close to the US Highway 421, State Highway 421, and Route 2. The project that is attached to this petitioner's resolution, and what I would do is just give you a very brief overview of this project that for your consideration this evening is an investment into a veterinary medicine clinic and the appropriate support materials and equipment to conduct this type of business. They would design and construct approximately 6,000 square feet of new construction at that location, investing just slightly under $1.5 million that they have successfully negotiated with the lending community, and they have secured preliminary commitments for the financing of that facility. And what this, in a nutshell, what this project does is create, from scratch, creates 11 new full-time permanent jobs that will generate right at $500,000 in new annual wages for those that would potentially go to work in this facility. So when considering the project and approving a statement of benefits, what this does is provide, it's a graduated tax relief, and I failed to mention, quite frankly, when introducing myself, as the Director of Community and Economic Development for LaPorte County, it is one of our primary objectives as a newly reinvigorated department to work with the smaller communities throughout LaPorte County and encouraging their communities to be aggressive in approaching and trying to attract new investment. For every new dollar invested in your community, what it's doing is assuring that your property taxes as homeowners and as residents of your community, each time a new business comes in and locates and makes the larger commercial investments, what it does is it has a downward pressure on your tax bill. So it is a very good tool, and it's why you hear that buzzword economic development by a lot of the elected officials from time to time talking about how we need to support economic development and be aggressive at trying to attract and revitalizing our communities. So enough of my commercial, but we do this as a hand-in-hand partnership with the smaller communities throughout all of LaPorte County. So no charge to your community. Our services as a department are working very closely with this prospective investor, with your town board, and help educate not only the town board, but you, the public, along with the elected officials, on why these are important components of supporting and helping revitalize, reinvigorate, and create a pro-business environment so that companies will continue to consider investing. And we're very excited about several of the large projects that are going on in and around Westville. You offer a lot of very attractive features. So with that said, I am not a business owner. What occurs in this process is this is a preliminary resolution. A public hearing would be scheduled prior to the next monthly council meeting, which would then a confirmatory resolution would be necessary to be adopted, and then an ordinance also which would approve a statement of benefits form granting a deduction of this graduated tax relief for this investment. And at that particular point in time that the public hearing is held, it's very appropriate to host the investor, where the architect would come in and present the artist rendering, give you a full detailed investment in much more specific detail about why they're selecting Westville, why they're investing, the impacts, the new tax revenues that will be generated as a result of their investment, and then of course answer any questions that you would have. So I'm really here this evening just to start the ball rolling and in step one of the two-step process. But we're very pleased to be working with Westville. We are confident that the nature of the management of the community, the aesthetic, your geography in relation to a lot of other key infrastructure investments being made throughout all of LaPorte County, put you in a very good position to be home to many new investments. One of which that our office is working on very aggressively is a residential housing analysis to encourage new residential development. We also work hand in glove with the agricultural community and the farmers in LaPorte County to assure that we're respecting their very important farming protection zones and working with them on trying to get the technology that's necessary in today's agricultural community into place to support their increased yields, increasing their productivity, increasing their profitability, and their ability to survive and grow and feed all of us from time to time. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have with regard to the resolution.
And the important thing on this program is the land is still taxed. You're still getting revenue like it's empty land, and then as the building, through the years, the building is included in the value of the land. So your savings is going to be, it's going to drop everybody's taxes because you've got more money coming to that pot, that pie that we always have. And in addition to that, where we have people that have the circuit, or their houses or property are under the circuit breaker, it's going to drop them below that threshold. So you're not going to lose money because of the circuit breaker, because you're getting all your revenue. Correct?
That is correct. And knowing that you have access to the presentation material, I'll make sure that we're prepared to give a detailed presentation on what that looks like in terms of each year they'll pay an additional 10%. It's a front-end loaded tax relief program provided by the state of Indiana by statute. And the first, so the entrepreneur, the investor, it's relief in the most important years, which are those first few years that they're getting up, getting going, establishing a clientele and a business base. And each year they pay, just as you said, the additional revenues until that 10th year when they're paying the full new assessed value and all that new tax revenue that flows into your community's coffers. So, but we'll be encouraging them to have a very detailed presentation for the community's benefit and your council's benefit as well.
Yeah, and like Tony said, there'll be a public hearing. This is a preliminary resolution, so there'll be a public hearing, and that'll be everyone's opportunity to see the project, get the presentation and all the material. This is the first step, though, prior to that. So, and thank you, Tony, and the LaPorte County Economic. They've spent a lot of time with us. We've been at their office trying to learn the different tools that, LaPorte County, Michigan City, the city of LaPorte use all the time to attract new businesses, and all the surrounding area, Porter, Lake County. This is a neat opportunity for the town to attract a business to our town within city limits, and it meets our comprehensive plan. One of the things we noticed when we went through our town comprehensive plan is there are a lot of businesses that are pet related and veterinarian related, because we have the PNW Animal Hospital located at PNW, and that's attracted, I think, Dog Paradise and the other companies to come here. So it's a good thing that it's kind of makes us a destination spot for pet services, which is kind of interesting how we're molding that way. But that's one of the things we kind of came out of our comprehensive plan, and this was an example of how somebody saw Westville as a key place to attract businesses, not just from Westville, but from outside, bringing people to Westville. So it's a neat opportunity for our town.
Sure is.
And I guess I would rather not read the entire preliminary resolution because there's a lengthy parcel description, but I'll briefly explain where it is. So the location is across the street. It's on, like Tony said, it's State Road 2 and 421, right across the street from Horizon Bank, basically, butting up to Canmore. So it's there's a rental house currently there and a barn. What this entrepreneur is wanting to do is to purchase that parcel and additional parcel there and remove the buildings and then build a new facility right there on the corridor. So it is a key point coming into the town of Westville where this will be located on our corridor. And I think that's a good use of that property. But that's good. Everyone from the public's going to have an opportunity to comment on the project come next. I think from a public hearing standpoint, it makes sense to do it at the next town council.
Yeah, you could do it during a council meeting. You just adjourn and start the public hearing. When it's done, you go back to the council meeting.
So
how long do these typically take? Do we want to start the meeting?
The public hearings?
Yeah.
Oh, I believe you can fit it right into your agenda during your normal course of business, and it will, quite frankly, will really depend on the number of questions that they may have. I would assume you'd want to budget about 15 minutes for the entrepreneur and his support team to present. I'll be attending with them, but they may or may not have their architect here, but they typically present their artist rendering, what the building's going to look like, and so much of our lives today depend on the internet and PowerPoint presentations, so they may do it electronically. And but then you open it up for questions. It really is the opportunity to address all those questions and show the impact, why it makes good sense, just as you mentioned, Tom. The business of economic development is very rigorous, very competitive today. We on a daily basis are competing for very sizable investments by firms looking to locate typically within a geographic area, but the stakes are high. The impact to, in waiting, I mean, just a fine example is the new tenant that North Point Development in acquiring the distribution facility right down the road here. Winds up being one of the Midwest's most successful distribution for temperature control, warehousing and distribution type facility. Very unique facility. They total investment reinvigorating that facility, and with the job creation is just under $43 million of investment in Westville. All of that new assessed value is again helping lower your home, you as a homeowner, lowering your property taxes. They projected 80 new jobs. I believe they're at 100, just slightly over or near 100, so doing much better than anticipated. And those are permanent full-time jobs. And Dollar General is proven to be a well-managed company doing amazing things in their industry as an industry leader. And people are looking at how they're doing so well. So that's the kind of success that continues to breed success and present opportunities. Each time that occurs, it trickles throughout the industry, creates more excitement, more people looking that are, let's say, moving from Illinois are probably saying, oh yeah, I've heard about Westville and I want to, let's go take a look and see if there's a home we might be able to buy. And does it have internet capacity? Can we get the services we need there? So, it's the things that keep the community moving.
I know we're going to have the public hearing. Is there any initial questions or anybody has from the public now that they'll be very well presented like I said, this is the first step. You have a public hearing and then there's a final resolution. So there's going to be an opportunity if you have questions or concerns or, after you hear about the project, we'll have the entrepreneur there. So with that, I'll read if it's okay with everyone, resolution 2020-3, just title only. Resolution number 2020-3, preliminary resolution. A resolution of the Westville Town Council declaring a portion of Westville, Indiana an economic revitalization area pursuant to Indiana Code 6.1.12.1-1. Current owners Sneziak, Curtis J., and Julie A. at 2038 West State Road 2, Westville, Indiana 46391. Petitioners, new owner is Hero Pet Properties LLC, 822 Hunter Drive, Westville, Indiana 46391. With that, I'd like to make a motion. We approve resolution number 2020-3.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Fath, seconded by Mrs. Riddell. Any discussion? Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mrs. Pethorsky?
Yes.
Mr. Fath?
Yes.
Albert votes yes, passes 4-0, and we'll have the hearing at the March meeting.
I'd like to say to Tom, thank you for being dedicated to the comprehensive plan, and thank you, Tony, for being such a great help to us. Tom is president of the Planning Commission, and the comprehensive plan that he headed, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. And we're getting ready for a new one already. Tom has been very dedicated to making that plan work, and you have spent hours and hours, and I appreciate you sharing with all of us and letting us know what's going on as the Planning Commission President. And thank you again, Tony.
Thank you for having me this evening. Thank you.
And we also have a congratulations to Tom, bouncing baby boy.
Good job, Tom.
Healthy.
Yep, just had a son, Milo Thomas. So, yeah, we're very excited to add him to the family. We got our basketball team now, so we're ready to go.
And he's kind of cute, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. Starting
His
to fall.
sisters seem to really like him, I love him.
Oh, yeah, yeah, he's doing well. So all the girls are excited to have a brother, so it's exciting.
Yeah, he'll be spoiled just by them. Yeah, congratulations, very cool. Let's do the conflict of interest, probably.
The State Board of Accounts and Indiana Code have a requirement that says if any council member or employee of the town, it could benefit financially from any transaction, it has to be disclosed and accepted by the council. Tom is a partial owner in the hardware store, and the town purchases about $4,000 a year in hardware. So we're disclosing this to the public. There's a form that has to be signed and filled out and filed with the State Board of Accounts to comply with the State Board of Accounts requirements. All the council need to do is simply accept the disclosure, and that's it.
I'll make a motion that we accept the disclosure as our attorney reported on. Seconded by Mrs. Riddell. Any discussion?
Well, we need to say that Tom has done this from the very first year he was on the
Yes. And we bought hardware before Tom was even thought of, I suppose.
I think this is the 5th conflict of interest you've signed, right?
Any other discussion? Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mrs. Pothorsky?
Yes.
Mr. Fath?
Abstain.
Mr. Fath abstains, Albert votes yes. Passes 3-0 and 1 abstention. Is there anything we have to sign on that, or just that we just did it? Okay.
Tom does, right?
So I think we gotta get those two.
Oh, okay.
It's Tom first.
Okay. Then we have the appraisals for the Old Town Hall building. So unless there's any objection, I'd like to forward these to the attorney so he can do a legal notice so we can begin the sales.
Sounds
of the
good.
building. Any objection?
Nope.
Okay.
I'll just give him to him.
We got lime sewer thing. Jace, do you have a report or anything?
Excuse me, month of January Fire Department report. Those of you that don't know me, my name is Jason Zeman, I'm the chief here in town. We had a total of 33 calls, 15 inside town limits, 13 New Durham Township limits, and 5 in Jackson Township. Still looking at eliminating the truck. As I reported last week, our main engine is down right now. We are running our backup engine, which is, excuse me, a newer model. We're looking to downsize the fleet, 2 trucks into 1. Rough cost so far, we're anywhere from $300,000 to $450,000, depending on accessories and stuff that we decide. We had 1 member begin EMT class in the month of January. That'll give us 11 EMTs on our department, which is phenomenal. EMTs provide a little bit further medical care, a little bit, I don't want to say better medical care because we all provide very good quality medical care. They're just allowed to do a few different things. They're most commonly the ones that are called in to ride in with the ambulance, stuff like that, to help perform with county ambulance service. We lost 2 members. We're now down to 16. Anybody's got family members in town, cousins, relatives, whatever, it's free training. We sponsor them to all the state classes at the district level. Please send them to the department. We are hurting right now. Run 550 calls a year. Some of our requirements, and that's why it's so hard for us to maintain some of the members. A normal member, standard member, they have to run 12% of calls, usually about 60 to 70 calls a year. 15 trainings per year, 1 truck check, 4 business meetings. Once we get to the officer level for chief, assistant chief, captain, and our lieutenant spots, we go to 15% of the calls. So that's about 75 to 85, excuse me. 20 trainings per year, 1 truck run, 4 business meetings.
We also redid our bylaws 2017 and started requiring our members to get continuing education, taking further classes, Officer 1, Instructor 1, stuff like that, as well as basic medical care. So we put a lot of time, a lot of training, a lot of money into our people. Just kind of one thing that I thought was kind of a neat little fact. I'm actually going to school right now for my associates in fire science. And one of the things that they were talking about was building a public education, which is what we're trying to do with giving reports, stuff like that. But ironically, it came up and it broke it down to one thing to explain is a lot of people don't understand how much fire protection actually costs them. What's everybody's first thing when they think of the police, they think of the fire department? We pay your salaries, right? We pay it with our taxes. So I did a little bit of work. According to our 2010 census, we had 5,853 residents in the town of Westville. Once we break that down with our costs, that basically puts it out to, not basically, it does. Every person in town limits pays $7.18 per year per person for fire protection. If you go a step further than that, it's roughly 2 cents a day. So a lot of people, when they start thinking that we're overtaxed or, what are we doing with our taxes? That stuff does go to use, and it's small amounts that gets broken up and distributed in different places. So just something to kind of think about when you see the fire trucks go out. That's, a lot of money putting those trucks out the door, and we're not really getting a whole lot of return out of it. So it's not like it's a multi-million-dollar business we're putting on. That's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Chief.
I have a question.
Yes.
You asked if anybody had any family members in town?
Yes.
Do the members in the fire department have to live in town limits?
Yes, we do.
Oh, they have to
require
live within
everybody-
town limits?
Not the town limits, excuse me, township. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, we do have boundary limits just because of our response time.
Sure, but they don't have to live within town
Not
limits?
within town limits.
Thank you. I just was curious. Thank you.
Anything else? I think we've talked about everybody that's sitting out here tonight. We've heard from you. I will make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Albert, seconded by Mrs. Riddell to adjourn. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourns at 8:13. That's a long